Okay, today we're going to do Taf Chav Beis Amud Aleph. We finished off yesterday with the argument between Rabbi and Rabbi. How do we know that meat, which is an avela, is permissible to use? So we said we had the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda said used it from the pasuk of it says la kalev tashlichon eisei, says to give it to a dog, and the fact that it says to give an avela to a dog is mashma that dafka an avela is permissible to use, even though it's also to eat, but it's permissible to use, as opposed to any other term which are also to eat, it's also also to use. Starting today, daf Chav Beis Amud Aleph, the top from Rabbi. Counter Rabbi, asking about the second line down. Counter Rabbi, who says that we learn a different pasuk. What does he use? Why does Torah say la kala tashlichon leisa? Why does Torah say dafka by an avela you should give an avela to the dogs? Sorry, dafka an avela give it to the dogs. The pasuk just says give an avela to the dogs. Why does it say give it to a dog? It meaning come to exclude any other thing. Dafka an avela is mutbana and all the other things are asbana. According to Amir, we learn that from a different pasuk. Says the Gemara, says the Meir will come to exclude a different scenario. Come to say dafka, the only time you could give an avela to a dog is if it's an avela that was shechted outside of Beis Hamikdash, meaning it's an animal that you didn't do anything wrong, either died by itself or got shechted and was treif. And Torah is saying dafka, that type of avela you could give to a dog. But if you have an animal and you weren't makdash and you bought it on the mizbeach, you bought it in the Beis Hamikdash, and you shechted it, so that animal now is unfit to bring on the mizbeach because since you weren't makdash it before. So what are you supposed to do with the animal? So you have to get rid of the animal. So I would think maybe the way to get rid of it, I can have benefit from it and give it to my dog. So the pasuk, no, dafka avela you can give to a dog, but any other meat which is also to eat, you cannot give it to a dog. If so, the question is back on Rabbi Yehuda. Why doesn't Rabbi Yehuda say that that's the meaning of the pasuk? La kalav tashlichon leisei. Why does Rabbi Yehuda say that the meaning of the pasuk is to exclude all other things which are also to eat? Rabbi has a case. Rabbi explains the pasuk that la kalav tashlichon leisei is speaking about a specific case. Why doesn't Rabbi Yehuda say it's speaking about a specific case? It says what does Rabbi Yehuda do with that case? So Yehuda says, it's not true. He doesn't agree with the din. He says that if you have an animal that was shecht in the Beis Hamikdash, it doesn't make it usher, but it doesn't make it usher ba'ana. Even if you shechted it in the wrong place, and now you can't eat the meat, but you can still give it to a dog. And therefore, Yehuda argued with the meat. Okay, we're going back to what I said yesterday now. We had a din of Rabbi Machadish din, that every place in Torah it says don't eat. It also means don't have benefit. Torah doesn't only ask you eating, Torah also asks you benefit. So any place that says in Torah don't eat, it also means you can't have any benefit. So we're going to ask a bunch of questions on this din for different cases in Torah which you cannot eat. Says the Gemara, when Afcha asks a question, what's the question? It says in Pasuk, but regarding Gidan Nosha, we all know a certain part of the animal which is a Gidan Nosha is also to eat. And the pasuk uses the terminology since Yaakov had a fight with the Malach, Torah says now the rule is Yidden should not eat the Gidan Nosha. Okay, and regarding the Gidan Nosha, we learn in the Mishnah that it says clearly about the Gidan Nosha, a person is able to send the thigh of an animal, including the Gidan Nosha, to a guy, and let the guy consume it. And we're not scared the guy's going to give it to a Yid because since Gidan Nosha is it's recognizable, Yid will never buy the Gidan Nosha. So the guy, he's going to eat the Gidan Nosha now. So here we clearly see that even though Torah said don't eat the Gidan Nosha, but Torah still permits you to give the Nosha, to give the Gidan Nosha to a guy. The question is according to Rabbi. Rabbi says every place in Torah said don't eat also means don't have any benefit. So why can you give the Gidan Nosha to a guy? Just like you can't eat the Gidan Nosha, the din should also be that you can't have any benefit from it. So the Gemara, because Rabbi. So my answer holds the Kshahutra Nevela he v'chaba v'gida hutra. And Torah said that Nevela, again, the only yetzim rakal, the only exclusion to the rule, that when something is usher to eat, it's still mutter by benefit. The only time we find that is around Nevela. We have a shayim Gidan Nosha. So Rabbi answers that Gidan Nosha is part of the animal, And since the Gedanasha part of animal, it's since when a nevela, meaning when Asudika meat becomes mutter, so that includes also the Gedanasha includes all parts of the animal, and just like the other, let's say the heart of the animal and the thigh of the animal is mutter ba'ana, even though it's asur to eat, it's still mutter ba'ana. The Gedanasha also is mutter ba'ana. Okay, so we learn that from nevela. In other words, just like a nevela is mutter ba'ana, so too the Gedanasha is also mutter ba'ana. Says the Gemara, this is when can we say that the Gedanasha is counted as meat, and therefore, just like the other parts of the meat is mutter, so too the Gedanasha is also mutter ba'ana. That's all if you say the Gedanasha is actually meat. Physically, it has a taste of meat and it has the din of meat. But if you hold that the Gedanasha doesn't have any taste, doesn't have a taste of meat, you're going to see soon. What is the Gedanasha? Is the Gedanasha a vein? Or meaning if the Gedanasha just the sinew that doesn't have any actual taste to it, and therefore since it doesn't have any taste to it, it's not counted as meat? Or do we say the Gedanasha is part of the animal and it has a taste of meat, and therefore it has a din of meat? What's the nafkamina? The nafkamina is if I say it's mutter ba'ana or not. So that's what I was asked. If you're going to tell me Gedanasha is meat, so we could say just like the other parts we learn that from the nevela, just like a nevela which is meat is mutter ba'ana, so to the Gedanasha, since it's also meat, it should also be mutter ba'ana. But if you're going to tell me that the Gedanasha isn't counted as meat, so I can't learn that from the nevela. I can't say that since the nevela is mutter ba'ana, so to the Gedanasha is also mutter ba'ana, because Gedanasha is different. Gedanasha is not meat. And if I say Gedanasha is not meat, we're back to our question: how can the Rabbi say every time in Torah it says that something is mutter, every time in Torah it says that something is asur to eat, it's also asur to ba'ana? We have a clear Mishnah that says you're able to give the Gedanasha to a guy. Says the Gemara answers, Man Shama, who's the one who holds the aim Gedanasha in time? Who's the Tana who holds that Gedanasha is not counted as meat? The Tana who holds the Gedanasha not counted as meat is Rabbi Shimon. It's Rabbi Shimon. How do we know? Because it says in a brayso, someone who eats from the Gedanasha of a Talmudic animal. Let's you eat from the Gedanasha of a chazer, let's say the vacher, or of a whatever kangaroo. So the din is Yehuda says you chayiv too. What do you chayiv? Malchus twice. You chayiv for eating treif meat, and you also chayiv for eating Gedanasha. Gedanasha also is not only also by kosher the animals. He holds Gedanasha's chayiv. Gedanasha's also by treif animals also. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, since you ate treif the meat, since you ate Gedanasha, you chayiv too. But according to Rabbi Shimon Shimon says you're potter. Why? Because since it doesn't have the din of meat, so therefore, number one, he holds that that it's not treif. Why is it not treif? Because it doesn't taste of meat. Since it doesn't taste of meat, you can't be chayiv for eating treif of meat. And the second reason that you're also part of eating Gedanasha, because Gedanasha, he'd hold that by Gedanasha of a Talmudic animal, of a treific animal, Shimon says there's no such thing, there's no such as a Gedanasha of a treific animal. But anyway, so here's the marker we see from the fact that Shimon said that you're potter to eat, you're potter from eating treifas. If you eat the Gedanasha of a kangaroo, is because he holds that the Gedanasha isn't counted as meat, doesn't have the taste of meat, so therefore you're not chayiv eating treifa meat because you didn't taste the treifa meat. And that same Rameh who holds that the Gedanasha doesn't taste of meat, he also holds Rabbi Shimon Hachanami. He also holds the asur ba'ana, that's asur ba'ana. The Tanya Gedanasha mutter ba'ana. The other holds the Gedanasha is mutter ba'ana. But Rabbi Shimon says the Gedanasha is asur ba'ana. Why? Because very simple. Since the Gedanasha says in Torah, don't eat the Gedanasha, and Rabbi Shimon goes according to the opinion of Rabbi, who says very clearly that any place in Torah it says not to eat, it also means not to have any benefit. So again, we asked a question of Rabbi. Rabbi says any place in Torah said not to eat means not to have benefit. We asked a question, we find Gedanasha is mutter to eat, is also to eat, but you can still have benefit from it. So the answer that we learned that from the Veda. But that only fits with if you say that Gedanasha is meat. If you say it's not meat, how can you not from the Veda? How do you know it's mutter ba'ana? So Gemara says it's not mutter ba'ana, it's asur ba'ana. Because whose opinion says that it's not meat? It's Rabbi Shimon. And the same Rabbi Shimon says that it's asur ba'ana. So that's the question of Gedanasha. The Gemara goes further and brings a new case against Rabbi. It says the Gemara varidam regarding blood. It says called that fish mekem l'seichadam. It says as the issue to eat blood, but a human being, a yid cannot eat blood. And regarding blood, it also says that now, on the other hand, we learn in the Mishnah, Elo ve'elo misavim ba'ama v'yetzer nach lekidrein v'nimkarim l'ranonin l'zabel u'meilim bay. It says in the Beis Hamikdash, they do when they would switch the blood in the mizbeach. Sometimes they had leftover blood. So what would the blood do? Or the blood that switched from there, where would it go? It would go. There was a pipe on the side, and then it would go. This pipe would go down into a stream, underground stream, and it would come out. On the other side of the Rabbi, there was a stream called Nachal Kidrein, and eventually that would come out, and they would use it. Blood is good for fertilizing field. They would use it to fertilize the farmers in Yerushalayim. Use it to fertilize their field. What do we see from here? We clearly see that even though blood is asur b'hana, but you can still have hana from, even though blood is asur b'achila, it's asur to eat blood, but it's still permissible to have hana from blood. But now you can use it as a fertilizer for your field. Okay, that's a contradiction to Rabbi. Rabbi says every time Torah says don't eat means don't have any benefit. Here we see a clear case that blood is asur to eat. On the other hand, you can't benefit from blood. Says the Gemara, answers the Gemara, dam, shani dam. Dam, blood is different than all others. Why? Because regarding blood, Torah connected the item of the isser of blood with water. Dam the iskash damayim, because dam is connected to water. How do we know? Because it says in the pasuk regarding blood, don't eat the blood. What should you do with the blood instead? You should pour the blood on the floor like water. So why does Torah want to tell you that you should pour the blood on the floor like water? Torah is telling you a special thing. Just like water is mutar ba'ano. Afdam mutar, so to dam is mutar ba'ano. So all other places in Torah that says don't eat means don't have any benefit. Blood is yetzim nakla. Says the Gemara, how do we know that when Torah says, Torah compares blood to water, it's telling you that it's mutar ba'ano? Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe it's comparing it to water which is poured on this mizbeach. And just like the water which is poured in the mizbeach, is asur ba'ano, so to the blood also has to be ba'ano. It doesn't say anywhere clearly in Torah that blood is mutar ba'ano. We're saying to me the Torah compared to water, and just like water is mutar ba'ano, so to blood also mutar ba'ano. Says the Gemara, who said water is ba'ano? Maybe mutar ba'ano. Maybe the Torah is comparing blood to the water which is asur ba'ano. Which water is asur ba'ano? The blood that you throw on the mizbeach with simcha v'sheva. Answers the Gemara, midi reiv mayim siv. Sorry, Amar Babo kam mayim reiv mayim. Says in the pasuk al haaretz tishbechenu kam mayim. Throw the blood on the floor like water. Since Torah says like water, mistam it's speaking about reiv. Most waters is mutar ba'ano. Have once a year, sometimes simcha v'sheva, but the water is asur ba'ano. So if Torah is comparing blood to water, mistam is comparing it to the most common case of water, which is the water a person drinks, which is mutar ba'ano. Says the Gemara, midi reiv mayim. Does it say that Torah is comparing it to most water? Torah says comparing it to water. And if it's water, then we have a suffix. Maybe Torah is comparing it to water, which is asur. Ella Amar of Ashi, Rashi says, "Kamayim hanishpachin v'lemayim hanisachin." It says in the Torah, "Ala tishpechenu kamayim." You should pour it like water. Pouring it like water is mashma that it's stam water which you usually pour on the ground. The water you pour on the mizbeach isn't, even though you pour it, but it's not called shvichas hamayim, the pouring of the water. It's called nisuch hamayim. Nisuch hamayim is a different terminology from pouring. And since the Torah says ala tishpechenu kamayim, if Torah was comparing it to the water Beis Hamikdash, Torah should have said ala tistechenu kamayim, or a lashon which is more similar to the Beis Hamikdash, to the water which is in the Beis Hamikdash. But the fact that Torah didn't do that is mashma that Torah is comparing it to stam water, and therefore it's mutar. Said the Gemara, maybe Torah is comparing it to water which is poured in front of Avodah Zarah. And therefore, when Torah is comparing blood to water, it would be the blood would also be asur. Says the Gemara, says the Gemara, even regarding pouring wine in front of Avodah Zarah, Torah doesn't use the lashon of pouring as in shvicha. Torah uses the lashon of nisicha. So if they wanted to compare the blood to the wine that's poured to Avodah Zarah, Torah should say a lashon of nisicha, not a lashon of shvicha. Pouring water means shvicha. It's tamazay when you pour water, it's because you don't need it anymore, and it's mutar ba'ano. There's no problem. It's not streaming the water of Avodah Zarah. It's not talking about the water of this mikdash either. And from here we learn out that blood is mutar ba'ano. Okay, we'll stop up here. Button of Chaf Aleph Amud Beis.